It is week number 15 of the high school football season, and tonight your Chardon Hilltoppers made the trek out west to Elyria Mercy Field here at Eli Stadium in Elyria to take on the Fighting Irish of Toledo Central Catholic, the reigning Division II state champions. It is week number 5 of the Ohio High School Athletic Association High School Football Playoffs, the Division III state semifinals. How you doing, everyone? Matt Jaworski, Ryan Radke with you as we get you set for this one. And Ryan, for Chardon, a tale of deja vu tonight. They're the underdogs again, and they're coming in facing a team nicknamed the Fighting Irish.
That's right. You're going to try to run it back and do it again this week. They did a great job last week of being physical, being fast, really giving Ursuline a tough game. They're going to be looking to do that again this week against Toledo Central Catholic. Come out, be physical, be fast, and play your best brand of football.
That's right, and certainly winner tonight moves on to the state championship game played next Friday night in Canton, so a ton is at stake tonight, in the Hilltoppers coming out with that attitude that they can win, and they're going to leave it all out on the field tonight. With that, folks, we're going to turn it over to Buckeye Sports Network, BCSN, as they have their broadcast of tonight's game.
Mercy Health Field in Elyria, the last stop on the road to Canton. It's a Division III state semifinal between the Fighting Irish of Toledo Central Catholic and the Chardon Hilltoppers. Welcome in, everybody, and happy Thanksgiving. Mason Lowry, Godfrey Lewis, and Maddie Klein, great to have you here. The Fighting Irish won it all in Division II last year. Chardon took the Division III crown back in 2020 and again in 2021. These are two programs that have been there and done that, and this time of year, that's a good thing.
And that's absolutely right. And you don't make it here unless you do all those things right, such as blocking, tackling, execution, coupled with great coaching and great tuition. I expect good football today, and again, when you have this type of level of football, it comes down to take care of the football and also tackling and blocking.
Well, the Hilltoppers run a very unique offense that I can't wait to see in person, quite frankly. I guess you could call it a triple option or a wing T, run out of the shotgun or pistol. And Will Francis, their undersized quarterback, is at the heart of it all.
He is the heart of it all, and they do all ball control football. It's all predicated on motions and attacking the area that they want to go against. And when you look at this game of football, defensively for Central Catholic, they're going to have to try to figure out ways to control it and move on.
Yeah, the defense has been outstanding against the run all season, led by Michael Cannings, the outstanding defensive end, but they won't have seen anybody like Chardon all year. We'll see how quickly they can adjust.
That's right, and when you look at the defensive line, he is a guy that occupies at least 2 blockers, so I expect him to be a force today, but they got a couple other guys that can also take care of that job as well. For Chardon, they're going to have to neutralize him and really gain ground on first down to stay in this game and be physical.
Winner moves on to Canton, loser goes home. It's that simple. We'll kick off the state semifinal right after this.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Gridiron Club, Burr Funeral Home, Chardon Smile Center, Achilles Running Shop, Ashes Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, Best Funeral Homes, The Junction Auto Family, Precision Orthopedics Specialties, PRP and Associates, Roniak Paving, Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center, and Fit for Life Physical Therapy, TJ Smith Excavating, Remax Tradition, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, Residence Artists, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. Special thanks for supporting the Gridiron Club goes to the Lodge at Bass Lake, We Were Athletes, Chardon Home Depot. Chardon Hilltopper Football is also brought to you by GTV.
Moments away from kickoff here in Elyria, the Central Catholic Fighting Irish out of Toledo, 14-0. top-ranked team in the state of Ohio in Division III, taking on the Chardon Hilltoppers. They were the 7th seed in Region 9, 11-3, 8 consecutive wins for them. The Fighting Irish, if they advance to the state championship game, will be their 30th straight win, dating back to Week 1 of last year when they lost to Lakewood St. Ed's by 3. This live game is brought to you by Dave White Chevrolet. For the number one buy with the number one guy, the place to go is Alexa San Monroe. Dave White Chevrolet. And remember, you can see all the great deals at DaveWhiteChevy.com. Chardon won the toss, elected to defer to the second half, and off we go. Next stop, Canton in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Taken at the 11-yard line, and all kinds of room to run on the kick return. This is Marvon Greenlee, only the kicker to beat. He's got blockers with him. Greenlee will take it to the house. The best possible start for Central Catholic.
Great job on that, attacking it north and south and really drawing the kickoff team to try to get out of their lanes and attacking it and then breaking it back outside, using his blockers well, and then using that speed. And as you can see right here, being able to move and groove, finding his way. And once he found that opening, he was out.
He missed a bit of time due to injury. He came back for the Mansfield senior game 2 weeks ago, ironically, against Defiance in a game in which he did not play. Central Catholic returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns. Austin Hernandez hits the extra point just 13 seconds in, and the Irish have liftoff. Marvon Greenlee, one of the fastest men on the field, takes it back for the touchdown. Central Catholic, the early lead, untouched to the end zone. Well, you're catching the tail end of another terrific kickoff return. Central Catholic trying to avoid the same fate that befell Chardon just moments ago. Marvon Greenlee taking the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, a squib from the Irish. Didn't matter. Big return anyway, and Chardon has great field position just inside the 50.
And when you see you have the squib kick, kickoff team tends to get out of their lanes and start to look where the ball is, as opposed to staying in their lanes and staying disciplined. Those are the things that hurt you in special teams, and the little things make a big difference in big games like this.
That was Drayton Allgood, the backup quarterback, a sophomore, on the kick return. Will Francis will keep it, and he is eaten up, met first by Ronald Collins after a gain of a couple. Tonight's keys to the game are presented by Ace Appliance. Yes, Ace now sells major appliances. Check them out at aceapplianceshop.com. For the Hilltoppers, they need chunks of yards on early downs. They are so good at falling forward, continuing to churn their legs to get positive yardage on first and second down, and they need to control the clock. We chatted with Mitch Hewitt, their head coach, before kickoff, and he said we're going to do a number of different things to try and make that happen. Under center that time, I don't think the snap really got to Will Francis. Had to scoop it up, lean ahead, 3rd down and 8. Starting lineups brought to you by Johnson and Associates Attorneys at Law. Well, the Chardon team has so many capable ball handlers. Will Francis, 1,654 yards on the ground this year, but Andrew Bruce, Caleb Hewitt, Vinny Columbi, Drago Vuaclia, all very talented at running the football, and a lot of them different kinds of running backs. See where they go on 3rd and 8. Francis on the rollout, fires a strike that is caught, but not enough for the first down. That's Leo Columbi, who's committed to play at Miami. 2 yards short of the first down, and an early decision for Coach Hewitt and company to make. Do you go for it on 4th and short, down a score?
And those are the tough decisions, Mason, especially when you talk about getting yards on early downs. If you get yourself into 2nd and 3rd and long situations, that is not what's going to keep them on schedule. In this situation, you're already down a touchdown. There was a momentum shift that came from that early kickoff return. I think they want to get the momentum back with trying to get a first down, so I like this call on 4th.
Yeah, we were told 4th and reasonable. They're going to go for it. This is Bruce. If he can get to the edge and turn the corner, he can. He's got the first down for the Hilltoppers. Andrew Bruce, 8 yards per carry, 8 touchdowns on the season. That's a big first down to move the chains.
And this is the jet sweep right here. He's going lateral, going outside, trying to get to the edge, and great job with using the stiff arm to create separation to get the yards that he needed to get the first down.
Watching Andrew Bruce on film, he really is a walking, living, breathing big play threat. That's a big fourth down conversion early for the Hilltoppers. The dive to the fullback there, that's Vinny Columbi, I believe. Yes, it is. Down to the 30, a gain of 6. Let's check in with the third member of our team, Maddie Klein. Maddie, good evening.
Hey guys, despite being on opposite sides of the state, these two teams have one common opponent this year, Tiff and Columbian, and the Irish won in dominating fashion last week, 41-6, marking their 29th win in a row. On the other hand, Chardon took on the Tornadoes in an early season matchup where they lost in a high-scoring affair, 50-49. Don't let that loss fool you. Central will have to bring their A game tonight, as Chardon has won 8 straight games and playing great team football. Mason?
Absolutely, Maddie. Thank you. Back to Columbi again, and he inches closer to the first down.
And when we talk about team football defensively for Central Catholic, misdirections and dive plays and jet sweeps, that requires discipline as a cohesive unit. And they will have to stay cohesive in this unit throughout the entire game.
Central Catholic defense brought to you by Johnson and Associates. Canning, Strode, and Collins have been so good up front all season. Michael Bastida is starting at linebacker in place of the injured Devontae Wright Ward. He was hurt 2 weeks ago in Clyde against Mansfield Senior. Chardon churns for another first down to the 23.
You can see it in the triple option. You got the outside and inside and all their ball carriers. Mr. Hewitt, coach's son, being able to get to the edge but then attack it right up the alley, kind of like a pitch play in the old school days, finding the alley and hitting it north and south. A really tough offense to defend.
Got a lot of guys that are shifty and quick. Not the least of which is Will Francis, the quarterback, who averages 7 yards a carry and has 15 touchdowns. Francis, who rarely throws the ball, rolling to his left. That pass is caught. And Victor Singleton, the sophomore corner, wrestles down Zach Henigman.
And rollout plays are excellent in these type of situations, especially on first down. Each easy pitch and catch, get it upfield, and that's another extension of the offense, being able to really open it up at that point.
Victor Singleton, the 6-foot sophomore corner. Already a lot of D1 interest, including an offer from the University of Toledo. 12 passes broken up and 3 picks this year. Second down and 4. On the jet sweep, that's Andrew Bruce. And Bruce down inside the 5 and out of bounds at the 3. You know, when we spoke with Greg Dempsey, the Central Catholic head coach, before kickoff, he said, our guys have to realize it's going to be so much quicker the way Chardon runs what they run as opposed to the way our scout team has run it. And he made the point it's less about our guys defensively figuring out what they do, quite as much as it is teaching the scout team on short notice how to replicate what they do. Chardon, by the way, well inside the Appliance Center red zone.
And is almost next to impossible to replicate because Chardon runs the offense that has been traditional with the entire program, all the way up from the elementary school, all the way up to high school.
First and goal from the 5. This is Bruce. He is stuffed as he tried to hit the hole, met by Michael Bastida. 5'10", 200 pounds, a junior, has gotten valuable second half action throughout most of the year and now is being thrust into a major role with Wright Ward being out.
And when you see this jet sweep, you typically see the slot running back going outside, but recognizing that if there's going to be a kick-out block, to hit it north and south.
Second and goal. Here's the jet, something Central Catholic had to be running for, and it's pounded in for the touchdown by Caleb Hewitt.
Great job of marching down the field and responding. Those are things in adversity. When you get into games like this, you're going to need to be able to respond, and they sure did. If you look at the way they moved the ball from inside, outside, play action. On this play again, being able to go outside, but to recognize the kick-out block and boom, right up in the alley. And that's textbook football right there.
Sam Sasarich is the place kicker for the Hilltoppers. He's 62 of 63 on point after tries this year. And the kick is good.
Well, this has been a heck of an opening 5.5 minutes. Central Catholic scores on the opening kickoff, and then Chardon methodically marches down the field, and Caleb Hewitt gets his 14th touchdown run of the year, pounding it in from 5 yards out. We're tied in Elyria. Well, we wondered if this might happen after Central Catholic took the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. One way to make sure Marvon Greenlee doesn't do that again, kick it onside. It is recovered by Central Catholic at their own 49.
Now, it didn't take the bounce that they wanted. They definitely wanted it to end up somewhere in the 30 and not on the 50-yard line. You know, best thing to do is maybe just kick it out of bounds just to make sure you don't get good field position.
D'Angelo Lyons dove on that kickoff up the middle. First carry for Marquand Braswell. Looks an awful lot like the Marquand Braswell of last week against Tiffin Columbian, in which both he and Tyler Morgan, the other Central Catholic running back, were over 100 yards by halftime. Here's Braswell again, trying to bounce to the outside, and he's ripped down. Falls forward for an extra couple of yards to the 28. Tackle made by Drayton Allgood.
The first quarter for both teams is going to be kind of like a boxing match where they have to get a feel for each other. Both teams run different offensive schemes, so the defense will have to adapt to something pretty new. The team that adapts best defensively and makes the best adjustments is going to be the one that be able to create the victory in the end.
Braswell rumbles down to the 22. That's a gain of 7. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of smash-mouth football from both sides, but they do it, as we've already seen, in very different ways. Central Catholic at tempo. This time it doesn't work. Marquand Braswell eaten up at the line of scrimmage. Logan Bryant among those leading the charge defensively. Senior lineman.
And when we talk about tempo, I mean, they're lining up and pretty much running a play every 7 seconds. And sometimes they line up quick. Doesn't mean they're going to call the play quick. That just makes the defense have to line up quickly, and then they look to the sideline and make their adjustments accordingly.
3rd down and 3. Here's Braswell again, exploding up the middle. Braswell torn down at the 11-yard line. First down for the Irish. Business as usual for the Scarlet and Gray. The tackle made by Leo Columbi.
And we're just getting great movement from the offensive line for Central Catholic, being able to move guys around, using the tight end to get movement. And that's where the defense for Chardon is going to have to figure things out.
Braswell this time is bottled up by Alex Ash, their leading tackler. 136 on the year, 26 for loss, 11.5 sacks. Video game numbers from the junior linebacker. Central Catholic offensive starters brought to you by Johnson and Associates Attorneys at Law. Well, Braswell and Morgan have been outstanding this year with over 50 touchdowns between them. Tyler Morgan, by the way, comes in needing 55 yards on the ground to reach 1,000 for the year. And there are flags at the snap with the Irish inside the Appliance Center red zone.
And all of that offensive production is really pushed back by that offensive line, you know, led by Mark Nave, that big offensive tackle, committed Division I. And, you know, with Central Catholic, when they get yardage on first down, they are dangerous. But when they put themselves into 2nd and long and critical penalties or turnovers where they may get the ball back, those are the things that make them uncomfortable. Those 2nd and long, 3rd and long situations is something that Central Catholic's going to have to show that they can overcome.
Here's Nick Banaszak, the right guard that moved. Here's Terry Collins throwing for the end zone. Got it to Jalen Watson for the touchdown. His sensational postseason continues.
And this is great execution on this play. To the top of your screen with 3 receivers, they all ran hitches and drew those defensive backs forward. And great job by the quarterback, Mr. Collins, being able to look those guys off and really look to the backside on the backside post. As you can see here, he looks them off there, sets his feet, and just delivers a football. And great job of execution on that.
9th receiving touchdown of the year for Jalen Watson. The Hernandez extra point is up and good. This one has lived up to the hype so far. 8 minutes in, we've had 3 touchdowns already. Central Catholic, the most recent one, to take a 14-7 lead on this pitch and catch from Collins to Watson. Squib kickoff is jumped on at the 30-yard line. That's Derek Galanek, the punter, out there jumping on it. So this is the worst field position that any team has had so far this evening, and it's at the 30-yard line, which isn't that bad.
both teams have shown the ability to return it back for dangerous yardage. So the kicking game is going to really make things difficult if you don't pay attention to them.
Central Catholic Keys to the Game brought to you by Ace Appliance Service. Looking for explosive plays on offense, or I guess special teams, which they've managed to do. Ideally, if you can keep Chardon off schedule, make them try and utilize the air or plays that are a little bit riskier late in downs, that's a good thing. Haven't been able to do that so far. A terrific, typical Chardon opening possession. Will Francis keeping it there and not getting much, if anything.
Because, Mason, if you look at the way Chardon was able to drive down the field and march and eat up clock the way they did, when Central Catholic gets the ball, they will have to respond with touchdowns. Any 3-and-outs against this Chardon team is a recipe for disaster.
Francis, 240 carries, 1,654 yards on the ground so far this year. Francis is ripped down for a loss, back to the 29.
And we just talked about keeping them off schedule. This is one of those off schedule moments. 3rd and long, going north and south and then east and west, but not able to gain any yardage. Now we're in the 3rd and long situation, something that Chardon does not want to be, since they really don't throw the ball a whole lot.
In the end, it didn't really matter if that ball was given to Andrew Bruce or kept by Will Francis. Either way, Christian Jackson had that bottled up. He was ready to take down Bruce, and then through sheer force of will, pulled the quarterback down by his uniform. 3rd down and 10. Francis will keep it again, and he's going nowhere. Needed 10 and got 1. Dom Spinazzi in there on the tackle, the sophomore linebacker.
The Central defense throughout the entire season has been going to a 3-down lineman set with bringing it outside linebacker. But tonight we're seeing more of a bear front with 5-down linemen. That is a really tough defense to run the ball against. If Chardon gets through that first wave, there's really only 1 or 2 linebackers left. So as long as they keep that in front of them, they're able to have success.
Took a little while to get that away. Galenick, but booms it deep downfield. Caught by Greenlee at the 25. Already has 1 special teams touchdown tonight. This time he'll have to settle for 17 yards on the punt return. The speedster, 5'8", 145. It's the second consecutive year, by the way, in which he has had a big-time impact on a state semifinal game. Last year, Central Catholic played Kings Mills Kings in a Division II state semifinal down at Wapakoneta. Marvon Greenlee had 3 receptions for the entire season. 2 of them were touchdowns in the Final Four.
He's arguably one of the most dangerous players on the field. It's sort of crazy that he only plays defense most of the time. A true testament to the fact that Central has a lot of playmakers on the field that could do different things.
Here's Jalen Watson, who is rarely utilized in the backfield, gets 4 yards on first down. He's committed to play at Iowa. His first step is so good. He had a screen pass against Mansfield Senior 2 weeks ago. Roughly a 60-yard touchdown. It was clear after about 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. He was not going to be caught.
And he does a great job. Not only is he fast and strong, but has great awareness. That's something that you can't coach. You just have to develop over time. That comes from just watching the game of football as a fan, but studying the game as a football player.
Marquand Braswell across the 50 to the 48 of the Hilltoppers, who have been outstanding defensively all season, especially against the run. They only allow 44 rushing yards per game for the year. Braswell gets the first down to the 46. Needed 1 and got 2.
When the Central Catholic offense looks to the sideline, they're lining up quickly. They get the signal call out right away. And as you can see, they run plays that are based on the look that they see up front. If they don't like what they see, they'll look to the sideline as they're doing right now, and they'll see whether it's an odd front, even front, whether they're in a certain coverage, and then they got dialed in plays that they want to run right away.
Again, it's Braswell trying to peel away from the defensive lineman, gets to that second level and wrestled down at the 40.
And if I could get a replay, Mr. Elijah Williams putting the business down. As you can see on this kick-out block right here, coming around here, and see you later. And then he's able to create that lane that creates bigger plays once their playmakers get the football.
Running right over Kenny Freehoff. one of the linebackers. It's an offensive line that has a high probability that there are 3 Division I recruits on it. Mark Nave is committed to Kentucky. Eli Williams to Kent State. Tyrell Green has an offer from Marshall. Here comes Jalen Watson. Let his speed do the work. That's a big-time tackle from Andrew Bruce to take him down to the 29. Didn't save a touchdown, but did prevent a really big gain.
We talked about those big offensive linemen. Not only are they physical north and south, but they're able to move. I mean, look at these big fellas move, man. You don't want to run into any of these guys in a dark alley. They know how to hold you down, and then they move their feet, not by accident, why they're being recruited at a high level.
Great tackle by Andrew Bruce, who's best known for his pass defense work. He has 18 PBUs on the season. That's the end of the opening quarter. A fun one so far in Elyria in this D3 state semifinal. Marvon Greenlee got us off to a great start. The kickoff return touchdown. Central Catholic leads by 7.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Gridiron Club, Burr Funeral Home, Chardon Smile Center, Achilles Running Shop, Ashes Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, Best Funeral Homes, The Junction Auto Family, Precision Orthopedics Specialties, PRP and Associates, Roniak Paving, Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center, and Fit for Life Physical Therapy, TJ Smith Excavating, Remax Tradition, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs, Residence Artists, El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. Special thanks for supporting the Gridiron Club goes to the Lodge at Bass Lake, We Were Athletes, Chardon Home Depot. Chardon Hilltopper Football is also brought to you by GTV.
Well, the first play of the second quarter sees Central Catholic get inside the Appliance Center red zone. Easy pitch and catch, Collins to Watson. The touchdown connection again.
2 tight end set, which forces all the linebackers up the middle. Corners play off. When you get that call, you want to throw quick hitches because it gets your guys in space. And when you get those type of individuals in space like that, great things happen.
Good job of gang tackling there by the Hilltoppers to bring down Braswell after a short gain.
Again, quick tempo offense, 2 tight end set. They want to be able to neutralize that outside linebacker with outside zone and various run concepts. That's really tough to defend overall.
Yeah, that was movement on the right side of the line by Central Catholic. Yeah, that's big Tyrell Green. 6'5", 330, but he's dropped 60 pounds from last year's state championship game, which Central Catholic won over Akron Archbishop Hoban. 2nd and 14. Collins, short pass near side, caught, spinning once, twice, dragging the student body with him down to the 10. Heck of a play by the sophomore Sherrard Vaughn.
Just another one of the many playmakers on this team. When you give him a quick hitch route, he's able to make 1 guy miss, 2 guys miss, maybe a 3rd guy if you're lucky. And as you can see here, again, brings it back inside, hits up north and south, keeps that ball tucked to his body, and keeps his body moving, feet moving. And again, if you're a youngster out there ready to play some high school football, that is textbook way to finish the play.
1st and goal. Here's Braswell fighting for the goal line. Marquand Braswell down just short. And I mean just short.
I mean, he took about 4 to 5 defenders with him on that play. And again, led by the offensive line. That's the first dosage. The second dosage is with these running backs. They run physical. And you can see here, already let 2 guys miss, 2 or 3 guys trying to rip the ball out, but he keeps his body north and south.
Hadn't seen the other back, Tyler Morgan, until right there. First carry and he's in for the touchdown.
And that's great for him as well because he's a guy that they use regularly, and you want to get him warm because he'll give you something too.
So Marquand Braswell has 29 touchdowns this year. Tyler Morgan not far behind with 25. He just broke the plane, despite Chardon's best efforts. The extra point from Austin Hernandez is good. 10-11 left in the second quarter. Central Catholic up 21-7. Hernandez kickoff is caught. Backpedaling at the 5-yard line by Caleb Hewitt. We know he's a speedster, trying to get to the outside and brought down at the 16. Special teams tackle made by Desmond Flowers.
Great job by Austin Hernandez, the kicker, stepping up for John Williams, who was the starting kicker early on this football season. Just a great job by him to really get the opportunity for that kickoff team to make the tackle.
Let's check in with Maddie.
Hey guys, last week after Central's dominant win, defensive coordinator Ryan Brown looked at his team on the field and said the scout team needs to be ready to go and show up every day this week at practice. Chardon runs a unique offense, and it'll take every single player on this Irish team to help prepare for this Final Four game. Tonight is their test. Mason?
Maddie, thank you. We suspected the Central Catholic defense would struggle with Chardon's system and scheme on their opening drive. Hilltoppers carved them up, but then forced a 3-and-out, and Andrew Bruce going backwards on the first play of this drive.
Part of being a really good coach, and you're talking about Ryan Brown, I got the chance to coach with him for 2 seasons, and he is one of the hardest working coaches you'll know in the area. And why? Because his ability to find the strength of his team and use it to the advantage. And that means sometimes thinking outside the box and changing some alignment and adjustments for your defense, because this is a different offense which requires a different style of play defensively.
Francis on the move, has to bail and just throws that into the bench. Nothing open upfield whatsoever. 3rd and long coming up for the Hilltoppers. They were 3-3 at one point this season. Back-to-back losses to Columbus, Bishop Watterson, and Kenston in weeks 5 and 6, but they've made it look pretty easy since then. Their run through Region 9 started with Cuyahoga Valley Christian Academy, whom they beat 42-0, and then took out the top 3 seats in an extremely competitive region. Geneva, Aurora, and Youngstown Ursuline last week, 31-14. Bishop Watterson, by the way, playing Salina in the other Division III state semifinal elsewhere in the state right now, and Salina has a 14-0 lead at last check, which is something that not many might have expected. Throwback screen. Can they beat the first man? Yes, and the second, but not the third. Vinny Columbia is upended at the 23, needed the 26 for the first down.
And that's a great play call by Chardon to recognize the pressure that they're receiving from the defense. What's the recipe? Throw a couple screen passes to neutralize that rush, and then use your playmakers to make a couple guys miss. Almost enough to get the first, but not enough. But again, just a testament to the defense for Central Catholic to be able to recover from that screen in enough time to stop the first.
Big tackle by Marvon Greenlee, who had that kickoff return touchdown to open the game. Galenik's punt caught by Greenlee at the 43 and is out of bounds right there. Impressive from the Central Catholic offense so far, as they inevitably are. They've been very consistent so far in the postseason. Beat Bowling Green in Week 11, 42-7. Then were locked in a battle with Defiance, the number 9 seed in Region 10, for most of the evening. They only led by 8 at halftime, in the end won 41-26. And then 41-10 and 41-6 against Mansfield Senior and Tiffin Columbian. Columbian had a 2,000-yard back, Damian Brockington, and the Irish held him to 11 carries and 21 yards. Marquand Braswell spun down. Great push up front by the Hilltoppers.
And when you talk about the way they've performed the entire season, we're talking about Central Catholic, it doesn't come down to just the great players. You got to have great players to be successful, but those big margin of
gaps with the score comes down to the adjustments made on the sideline when they come. When they're able to recognize and see the areas to attack, I haven't seen a team this year as strong as Central Catholic being able to expose those schematically with different formations and different personnel packages.
Terry Collins looking to throw on 2nd and 10, going deep for Jalen Watson, trying to adjust to the ball and incomplete. With him all the way was Andrew Bruce.
And this is great coverage right here. As a receiver, you got to be able to kind of shadow and disguise the route. Once you look up, that tells the defensive back, I got to look up. And that was great coverage to recognize, to not interfere with the receiver, but get your body hip to hip, hand on hand, and be able to mirror that receiver to break it up.
Like his game an awful lot, Andrew Bruce.
Yeah, he's a guy. He's a playmaker. He knows what he's doing.
He is indeed a guy.
He's a guy. No, but he's that guy, though. I mean, he's a guy that knows what he's doing out there. He's not any guy. Anyone could be a guy. He's the guy.
First Genoa Bank timeout of the night. Genoa Bank taking your banking needs personally. Back to Elyria after this. Well, can Chardon conjure up a big stop on 3rd down? Going deep, that's Marvon Greenlee. Another big play in a state semifinal.
Talk about coming up big and coming out of your comfort zone. Coach Greg Dempsey and staff opening it up with the passing game. They recognized that it was man coverage, so you come back with the return motion to get guys moving around, and with the switch route, the post wheel, not able to adjust to the wheel route, and great execution, pitch and catch from the receiver, from the quarterback to receiver.
That's a great throw. And Greenlee out of bounds at the 12. Braswell going nowhere on the subsequent first down carry.
Right beside Coach Dempsey is Chad Hunterbrinker, one of the, in my opinion, one of the strongest offensive line coaches schematically. This great understanding of pass protections and adjustments to defensive fronts. You know, when you combo that type of ability to scheme your way, it gives your team the ability to make plays and be creative out here.
Fighting Irish inside the Appliance Center red zone. Fake the end around. Here's Braswell. No, the linebacker wasn't fooled. That's Austin Green, who has 87 tackles on the season coming in. By the way, back to the Marvon Greenlee catch, just his 3rd of the year.
I mean, didn't have to. A lot of times they just were blowing teams out, not needing it. But when you need it the most, he's giving you your best.
And against an offense like Chardon's, you definitely need it.
The toughest part is the fact that they have, they're an 11 personnel, which means one running back and a tight end. But then they have different combinations of plays where they'll do different 12 and 22 personnel. It's a lot of different looks that you see.
Well, a high snap, and Terry Collins had to improvise, and the Hilltoppers swarming to the football.
And these are some of the mistakes that, Coach Dempsey and staff talked about. And, whoa, looks like we have a little trouble there with a little gimpiness from the quarterback.
Yeah, Terry Collins hobbling to the sideline. And Central Catholic will take another timeout. I think he got folded up on there at the bottom of those 3 Chardon tacklers.
That's definitely going to be something to watch. That timeout was more to see what they're working with. Are they going to have them for this next down, or are they going to try to figure out a way to, kick this field goal? And, maybe that's something they may want to take a look at if they don't have their quarterback ready to go.
Isaiah Fox, the 6-foot junior quarterback, gets a few warm-up throws in and then is ushered into the timeout huddle. Well, Collins has been a superb game manager all season, doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Isaiah Fox has seen a lot of time in a lot of second halves. A lot of substantial Central Catholic wins this season. Opened up 47-14 against Findlay, 35-8 against Whitmer, in which they held the Panthers to under 50 yards of offense. Really, Warren De La Salle, the reigning Division II champions in the state of Michigan in Week 5, the only truly close game, at least in terms of the final score they've played in all season. They won that one 28-23 back home at Gallagher Stadium. 4th and 9, Jalen Watson is the Wildcat quarterback here. He'll take off to his left. Watson going to tuck and run. Watson, touchdown, his 2nd of the half.
And when it comes to making plays, you want to make your best playmaker at the most primary position at quarterback. And his ability just to move out the pocket, it looked like everyone else was just in slow motion. I mean, why throw the football when you're able to just outrun guys? I mean, he had the smash route open out in the corner of the end zone. He had the flat route in the flats. And as it was man coverage, that opens up lanes, and it was a parting of the Red Sea.
PAT is good from Austin Hernandez. Central Catholic trying to pull away before halftime. Now a 3-touchdown lead in the semifinal. Another kickoff from Austin Hernandez, bobbled and caught at the 7 by Caleb Hewitt, trying to run laterally with a little bit of a burst up the sideline across the 30 and out around the 33. Nice return by the junior Caleb Hewitt. His Hilltoppers, though, trailing 28-7 at the midway point of the second quarter. Godfrey, let's look at the touchdown one more time.
So this play is called sprint left option. The quarterback has the option to run or pass. He gets out to the perimeter, and if it's man coverage, that means everybody is covered. That tells the quarterback, I'm going to score, because all of those guys following those receivers are not occupied for the quarterback running, but it also takes the running backs and linemen to really attack the edge to allow that to happen.
This is a must-score drive for Chardon to the short side, and Andrew Bruce, he doesn't get much. Leapt on by Ronald Collins at 5'10", 285. He's not the size of guy you want falling on your back like that.
No. And then you got a lot of big guys like that on the field. I mean, both teams have some big guys up front that know how to push guys around. Physical. I mean, we're not talking about fat guys. We're talking about thick, strong guys. Chardon has a strong strength coach over there. If you ever get the chance to take a look at him, he looks like Darth Vader. No, sorry, he looks like Kane from WWE back in the day. And so you know they got a bunch of guys like that.
You were half right. When I first saw him, I thought of a fit Vader from the 90s.
Right. Just a nightmare.
Vader, Kane, Undertaker, any pro wrestler will do. Here's Will Francis on second down. Nowhere to go. Manages to stay on his feet and reverse field, maybe turning nothing into something, trying to direct traffic ahead of him. It's a long way to go for a gain of maybe a yard, but boy, if that wasn't one of the coolest plays that we've seen all year. That's Charlie Brock, I think, 44, who made the catch in the end.
Yeah, that was the hardest working rollout 1-yard pass probably in the history of Chardon football right there. But, again, these guys are fighters. They're not giving up. They know they have to do things, to be creative, to move the football around. Unfortunately, the team speed of Central's defense just makes it so hard to make those decisions on the fly. But, if any team's up for the task, it's Chardon. They're a fighting team, and they're not going to give up at any point in this game.
3rd and 9 on the jet. Here's Bruce. The seam that was there closed in a hurry. He is forced to the sideline out of bounds after a gain of 1. And we had talked earlier on about Central Catholic trying to get the scout team up to speed, and Greg Dempsey and Ryan Brown, the defensive coordinator, telling his guys, look, they're going to run it so much faster than what you've seen from the scout team so far. It's down to you guys to adjust to it. Similarly, if you're Chardon, well, there's really no way to replicate the athleticism and speed of Central Catholic, is there?
Yeah, and you just have to be able to coach the anticipation of where you need to be at the right place at the right time. There's not enough time to react and guess. It's about anticipation, and that comes from scouting. It comes from game preparation, and it comes from trusting your teammates, knowing that you have a responsibility, and that's your only responsibility. Don't do anyone else's job. Do your job. Just do it to the best of your ability.
Fair catch made this time by Greenlee at the 38. 4:53 left in the second quarter. And great to see Terry Collins will come back in. He got that ankle, I believe, retaped down on the training table on the track behind the tent. And he's good to go. All he has to do, though, is give it to Marquand Braswell or Tyler Morgan. So often a hard-earned gain of 7. By the way, scoring update in the other D3 state semifinal. Bishop Watterson has scored. They've cut the Salina lead at half to 14-7.
The Central Catholic offense going to a 12 personnel package, meaning 1 running back, 2 tight ends, and they're just using the side that they have the most best matchup and then using that matchup on the outside for big gains in the passing.
Well, that was a matchup that Terry Collins liked, but he overshot Sherrard Vaughn by a step. Andrew Bruce in coverage, picks up the ball, throws it to Sherrard.
Again, when you go to that power scheme that Central's showing right now with the extra tight ends, it allows for one-on-one matchups on the outside. So taking shots on first and second down is something you're going to have to do. It's a big and tall task for the corners for Chardon. Jalen Watson's the side you probably don't want to throw to.
And this pre-snap penalty will be against the Hilltoppers.
I'm not sure what that was for, but...
Well, it's something you can ill afford at this stage of the season and at this stage of the first half, down by 3 touchdowns. Desperately trying to conjure up a stop to get the ball back. Instead, it's 1st and 10 to the Irish. Braswell, short side, first down. Gain of 14 for the 6', 220-pound senior running back. And it's... Go ahead.
Outside zone on that play. You could just see definitely the movement happening up front, using the extra tight end to go in the middle and fill. As you can see here, he's stretching it out, pressing it, boom. North and south, puts his foot down, and then again using that aggressive running style to gain those extra yards.
Braswell again sliding through that hole. It was met high by Leo Columbi and low by Kyle Kisley, senior defensive end, and both of them are feeling the after effects of that. We'll step away, 3:50 left in the half. Well, we're back in Elyria. Kyle Kisley, who made the tackle on the previous play, has been able to make his way off the field. There is a lot of concern over Marquand Braswell at the moment, who is still down at the 33-yard line. 3:50 to play in the opening half. Mason Lowry, Godfrey Lewis, Maddie Klein, and all of our crew hope you've had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. And you certainly hope that Marquand is all right. And whatever they're doing down on the field, they are sitting Marquand Braswell up at the moment, is more precautionary than anything.
When he was running the football in that last play, he cut inside and then broke it outside. As he did that, I don't think he's seen the defender coming. The hit came probably right underneath the chin, sort of like a knockout punch in boxing. And it doesn't look good. I'll be honest with you. It hit him in a spot that he wasn't prepared for. And as you can see here, just boom.
Gosh.
Yeah, so, that's not a good one. And he didn't see it coming, and so, I'm just hoping that he's able to just get up and get his mind, physically right to be healthy at the end of the day.
And that was Leo Columbi who came. We mentioned at the time that Kisley kind of went low, Columbi went high, and it's just one of those things in football that happens as Braswell is slowly led from the field of play.
And we talk about the running backs, you lose one running back, and then you got another running back that's ready to go and reload. And, the tradition of the running backs at Central Catholic is something that, has been historic, where you got one guy that goes down or leaves, and then another guy steps up.
You go back the last decade, Mike Warren to John Zell Norrells to Prentice Reasonover to Chris Edmonds last year and the year prior, and now Braswell and Tyler Morgan is the next. Here is Tyler Morgan. His only carry prior to this one was for a touchdown. He had a spectacular run against Columbian last week in which he broke away from just about everybody to score a magnificent touchdown.
And I wouldn't call him a number 2 running back. I'd call him a 1B. 1B, because he could be anyone's number 1 in the whole state of Ohio.
I was thinking that exact thing. Morgan, with dancing feet, as always, is met right at the stick. Should be enough for the first down.
And, he's not a big guy. He's only 5'8", 165. But, that's enough to do what you need to do. When I played football at a high school, I signed my letter of intent, and I was only 165 pounds. It's about how you run, keeping your pad level down, being able to make quick decisions on the fly, moving your feet, and staying physical. No weight limit's going to keep you at that level. That's a mentality, and that's a mindset and a skill set.
Here's Morgan, this time going nowhere. Chardon dials up a loss of 2 defensively. And Chardon, they think that Tyler Morgan grabbed a face mask. Let's see what the replay shows us.
outside zone, pressing the line of scrimmage and then cutting it upfield. And then, boom, big fellows are all there, and now we're just fighting and clawing and scrapping. Guys, he does not want to go down. You got extra guys coming into the play. Whistle's not blown, so guys are still fighting. So, that's how things happen when the whistle's not blown early enough.
Impossible to tell from that angle if there was hands to the face or not, and a flag flies way after the fact.
And that's going to be a penalty on possibly number 7, because I know he's not happy about the extracurricular activities that went on in the last play. It's all about keeping calm, though, and not letting the game get away from you. You're already ahead right now. You already have momentum. Don't kill the momentum for your team. Be the guy that builds and keeps the momentum. But, he's a war daddy. I mean, when you talk to Tyler Morgan, he's a fella that is a fighter. And I'm not talking one of those punk-type fighters. We're talking fighter in the way of leadership and the way he just talks about his teammates, and he's just a guy that you want on your football team.
So now 2nd and 27 after the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Terry Collins throwing far side, looking for Preston Frizzell, and incomplete, but a flag. Broken up initially by Braden Maruna, the senior safety.
And when you have a receiver the size of Frizzell, 6'3", 180, you got to get your hands on him. Unfortunately, he had a little bit extra hands and drew the penalty.
Well, let's see.
I mean, it looked like Frizzell had to get one hand out and wasn't the right hand.
This will be waved off.
So are they going to wave it off? That's tough. I mean, it's a hard situation to make that call, but at the same time, if you look at the positioning of the defender, again, you got to stay hip to hip with your receiver, but you got to keep your hand off. And you can see that left arm was sort of wrapped around the back. So
that's absolutely the right decision in my view.
So, I mean, it could have went either way, but, you got to move on and keep playing.
So now 3rd and 27 and a high and wide snap. Collins nowhere to go, and wisely just goes down at the 43.
Yeah, there's not too many calls you can make on 3rd and 27. I mean, the playbook usually doesn't allow for you to do too many plays like that. Maybe a screen pass to keep it safe. But at this point, Central just needs to keep their cool and not allow the game to get away from them by the emotion of the game.
Well, that's big for Chardon. I'll get the ball back. Preston Frizzell will try and pin them back deep. Not a quick strike Hilltopper offense in the traditional sense, but you and I were talking before we came on air. Don't confuse what Chardon does for being a conservative offense. It really isn't.
No, they play fast, and they just find ways to take advantage of gaps by running the football. And then once you draw that defensive end and control all those gaps, that's when the passing game opens up. But for Chardon this season, they've been so successful running the football, they haven't really had to rely on the passing game. I know right now the Central Catholic special teams coordinator, Chad Hunter-Brinkers, is letting the guys know, hey, we got to get this punt off. We don't want this to be a big return, and we got to make sure we just secure it in case Chardon decides to go for the block.
He also coaches the offensive line. I'm guessing he doesn't have to do a great deal of coaching. That will bound into the end zone for a touchback. And then a flag comes in from the back up to the 30-yard line.
Looks like it was kind of a late flag. I wasn't sure. I mean, it looked like at first it was running into the punter, which they didn't flag. The ball went downfield on the kick.
Personal foul against Central Catholic. Well, in the last minute of game time, we've seen the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Central Catholic, and now a personal foul. Should have been a dead ball, right?
Yeah, and it was a lot going on out there. I see some guys throwing some pushes and shoves, even between the play, which is not something you want to do. You want to just block your guy. But, these refs are going to look at this game real close. They know there's a lot at stake for both teams, a lot of pride on both sidelines and in the stands. So they got to reel it back in and make sure these guys are playing clean football.
Central Catholic fans below us in the home grandstand making a lot of noise with their feet right now. Will Francis on the keeper, and Francis gets 5 up to the 40.
So Chardon has 2 timeouts with 1 minute and 8 seconds left on the clock. They're going to have to really speed this up and open it up to allow them any time at all to get points before the half.
Straight drop for Francis. Rush coming. Down he goes. Back at the 31-yard line. Deep drops are so often bad news against the Central Catholic pass rush.
There's just not enough time against these big fellas. I mean, look at big number 15 ready to eat
Curtis
somebody.
Strode, the defensive lineman, dumps Benazzi there as well.
I mean, he was just breathing down his neck from the time the ball was snapped. There was no time to even look downfield.
Curtis Strode, the least talked about member of that 3-down lineman crew at 5'7", 225, but so strong and really critical to the way they play.
They don't always work out so well.
Maybe the last play of the half for the Hilltoppers. Francis, short pass, short side. Bruce makes one man miss out of bounds to the 35 with 5 seconds.
With 5 seconds left on the clock, allows for just enough time to get another throw off. I don't know how much is in the playbook for Chardon for situations like this, but if you got it in the playbook, it's time to open it up. You don't want to go into the half down 3 scores.
Chardon will call a Genoa Bank timeout. Well, whenever you run, you have to make sure it uses up 5 seconds or more because you don't want Central Catholic getting the ball back.
That's right. They're going to have to drop back and just let it go, and hopefully it stays up there long enough. And the other thing, too, you don't want to do is throw it up to an area where it becomes an interception, because if any one of those defenders catches it, that's like a punt return. And as we see, when these DBs that are really some of the best playmakers in the area catches the ball, I mean, they're bringing it back for a touchdown. So Chardon needs to run and execute a play that's going to be a high percentage throw in an area which at least a one-on-one matchup. You don't want to throw in an area where we have 2 defenders.
So another play that could be the final one of the first half. Francis will run to his left. Clock is at zeros and just dumps that into the Central Catholic bench area. Victor Nelson Jr., sophomore, makes the catch on the sideline. A very good first half of football from the Central Catholic Fighting Irish. They have kept a terrific Chardon team at bay for the most part. And our Matty Klein is going to try and grab Greg Dempsey for his halftime thoughts. They're very nearly in position. Let's go down to Matty now.
Hey, Coach, you got the lead going into the halftime. What were some of your takeaways from the first half?
Well, obviously the kick return was a great way to start it, and then we turned around, gave them good field position on their kick return. They were able to score on that first drive, but the defense has made some great adjustments, has been able to string things out and make plays, and we've been able to move the ball on offense. And Jalen Watson's big play there on 4th down was huge.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck. Mason?
Thank you, Matty, and thank you, Coach. Halftime here in Elyria. One of these teams 24 minutes away from the Hall of Fame in Canton at a state championship game next week. The Irish with a 21-point lead on Chardon.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Gridiron Club, Burr Funeral Home, Chardon Smile Center, Achilles Running Shop, Ashes Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, Best Funeral Homes, The Junction Auto Family, Precision Orthopedics Specialties, PRP and Associates, Ronyak Paving, Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center, and Fit for Life Physical Therapy, TJ Smith Excavating, Remax Tradition, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs,
Residence Artists,
El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. Special thanks for supporting the Gridiron Club goes to the Lodge at Bass Lake, We Were Athletes, Chardon Home Depot. Chardon Hilltopper Football is also brought to you by GTV.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Introducing the 2023 Chardon Hilltopper Marching Band. The band is being led onto the field by senior drum major Charlotte Johns. Our show this evening features rock classics from the supergroup Queen. Released in 1981 and written by all of the members of the band in conjunction with David Bowie, here is Under Pressure. Chris Bednar, Parker Hegarty, Aiden Murphy, and Elias May. We also feature seniors Aiden Bluebell, Thomas Wilkinson, Evan Poole, Ryan Dvorak, and Sean Collins. Here is Don't Stop Me Now.
Just a few minutes away from starting the second half here in the state semifinal in Division III out in Elyria, mostly Toledo Central Catholic so far, up 28-7 on the Chardon Hilltoppers. As we take a look back at first half highlights, and well, Chardon, this was really the one positive from the first half. Their first offensive possession capped off by the Caleb Hewitt touchdown run.
Yeah, just marching down the field, finding different ways to take care of the football and get production early on in the game.
And every now and again, they've been able to force Central Catholic backwards. They rolled up Terry Collins, who missed the next play, but was able to come back in and did see time on the final Central Catholic drive of the night. We started with the best possible opening for the Irish. Marvin Greenlee had those 2 touchdown receptions last year in the state semifinal. Takes the kickoff back 88 yards to the house.
Yes, don't kick him the football. Lesson to be learned. He's a playmaker at all phases of the game. And then when you look at the way they've been executing with the passing game, has been a big surprise with guys getting open. And looking at number 1, just figuring out the way, Mr. Watson, this being at the right place at the right time in almost every phase of the game.
Yeah, when you start talking about playmakers, that almost always has to start with Jalen Watson for Central Catholic. Christian Jackson with a big play to haul down the ball carrier there. Sherrard Vaughn, this was one of the prettier plays of the first half. 2 or 3 pirouettes, dragging would-be tacklers down to the 10-yard line.
And that's been the most impressive thing, too, is some of these passes is once they catch the ball, they're able to do more with it. And just, again, this is a alignment of great talent on the field today on both sides of the ball.
Jalen Watson, another big play, the touchdown run on 4th down. The Irish up by 21. Second half when we come back.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Gridiron Club, Burr Funeral Home, Chardon Smile Center, Achilles Running Shop, Ashes Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, Best Funeral Homes, The Junction Auto Family, Precision Orthopedics Specialties, PRP and Associates, Roniak Paving, Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center, and Fit for Life Physical Therapy, TJ Smith Excavating, Remax Tradition, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs,
Residence Artists,
El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. Special thanks for supporting the Gridiron Club goes to the Lodge at Bass Lake, We Were Athletes, Chardon Home Depot. Chardon Hilltopper Football is also brought to you by GTV.
Ready for the second half here in Elyria. Toledo Central Catholic, the reigning Division II champions, now potentially 24 minutes away from playing for a Division III title. Chardon will get the ball first to start the second half, and a flag on the kickoff against Central Catholic.
This is one of the things that Central will definitely have to clean up. We talked to Coach Dempsey and staff about playing cleaner football, not doing things that's going to hold them back from their goals and aspirations for this football season. And, the little things like that do add up. And this is a Chardon team that's not going away. They're going to make their adjustments. They've made their adjustments at half. They got a great coaching staff on that sideline. I know Coach Hewitt is one of the strongest guys I know, just from our experience as a football player when we played together at Bowling Green. But as a football coach, he is definitely up to the task, and he's going to have his guys ready.
Things you don't often see, a kicker running over to the sideline to get a signal from a coach, like a quarterback would.
And that's a play call. It's just not kicking the ball. It's about where you kick it, how you kick it. And, again, those are the little things that us as fans and audience don't see. And even right there, it was coaching up to the task.
Well, Derek Gallinick gets wiped out by Tyler Morgan. And on the short kick, good field position for the Hilltoppers, which is what they need.
Yeah, they need great field position. They're going to have to really go down there and set the tone early. They have the playmakers to do it. They got the scheme and they got the trust. It's all about execution. And for Central Catholic, it's about doing what they did best, which is to neutralize the running game and force them into some of those second and long and third down long situations.
Since that opening drive, Central Catholic has been able to keep them off schedule, but here comes Andrew Bruce, maybe one step away from taking that to the house. Kevin Arnold might have saved a touchdown. Let's check in with Maddie Klein. Maddie, what do you got?
Hey, guys, I talked with Coach Hewitt at half and asked him what his message was to the guys, and they said they have to play hard. They're going up against a very tough team, and they can't make some of these mistakes. He said, we're going to see what our guys are made out of in the second half. Mason?
Well, they're carrying their whole community with them. There is so much pride in the Hilltopper football program. We mentioned two-time state champions in 2020 and 21. Francis with the keeper. That's a nice gain on first down. Interestingly, the last 2 weeks, Central Catholic has not given up a single point beyond a team's second possession. Mansfield Senior scored on their opening drive, then forced a turnover and kicked a field goal. Last week, Columbian scored on a third down pop pass to their tight end, did not score again. Chardon can buck that trend on the first drive of the second half.
And that tells me that defensively they're just able to make the right adjustments so those things just don't happen. That is one of the biggest coaching props you should get as far as how you operate a football team is how do you make adjustments. Anyone can have a playbook. Anyone can have, things drawn in the dirt. You could have your scheme all prepared. Everything looks good on paper, but it's about the other team and how they adjust to what you're going to do and how do you react and respond to that.
Turn on TV now.
Bruce is dropped by Ronald Collins.
We're starting to see Chardon kind of come out like they did in the first half, really explosive with their offensive line, and that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking to see what kind of movement we have up front. Are these guys getting those one-on-one matchups up front and creating the movement needed for the running backs to find lanes available and open?
Francis is eaten up and driven back by Jaden Mitchell, the senior middle linebacker. Bit of pushing and shoving after the fact.
You can see there that the pile just got moved backwards. There was really nowhere to go, and then the linebackers were there just to clean it up. Mr. Jaden Mitchell really came and made a play on that. But that doesn't happen unless the defensive lineman is able to occupy two linemen. When you have a D lineman that occupies two offensive linemen, now that creates a gap for the linebackers to fill.
4th and 5, and unsurprisingly, the offense stays on the field. Francis hit hard and dropped back at the 49. Michael Cannings, whom we talked about in the open, essentially untouched to the quarterback, and Central Catholic takes over.
He comes free because he just comes off the ball fast and furious. Look, nice swim move. I mean, he got out of his stance so quick that number 52 wasn't even able to get his head up and get his hands out, slapped his hands, and now he's slapping hands on the sideline, but he slapped hands with that offensive lineman and said, get out my way, and I'm going to get to your quarterback. You have to get guys to double team him. You can't single block that big fella.
Many teams have tried. Few, if any, have succeeded. Canning 6'2", 280. Been playing major minutes since his freshman year for Greg Dempsey's Fighting Irish. They have to call a timeout, a Genoa Bank timeout. They'll step away with him. Well, Tyler Morgan, the first play out of the timeout, we used the phrase dancing feet in the first half. Yeah, watch this little shuffle.
Little outside zone. Outside zone, press the line of scrimmage, put the foot down and cut it back. That only happens when the defense takes across and basically flows across your face. As a running back, you got to react to that. Put your foot down, let it all develop, and then bend it back. You either bounce it, bang it, or bend it.
I think the expectation is we will not see Marquand Braswell in all likelihood in this second half. Here's an end around with Jalen Watson. He is ripped to the turf back at the 43-yard line by Kenny Freyhoff. There is a flag right at the line of scrimmage. This is against Central Catholic, and you're Chardon. You may decline this. And indeed they will.
Yeah, the thing about running outside zone, if you don't get sustained blocks on the outside, you're going to be susceptible to holds. And it looks like the hold came from the backside there by number 60, Tyrell Green, trying to keep his guy from getting to the running back. Those are the holding calls that really hurts you. And I know on the sideline for Central Catholic, they're not happy about that.
Watson in the Wildcat, and Watson lost the football but falls on it at the 34. He gets the yardage lost back. 3rd down and 9 upcoming.
Quarterback run right now. And again, you're giving your best player the ball, almost loses it. Luckily, he's able to recover. And again, those are the turnovers, if it was to happen, that Chardon is going to need in order to stay within this game. You know, the clock is running right now, so we're not just battling your opponent, you're battling the test of time. Central Catholic jumping into their 10 personnel, which is 1 running back and 0 tight ends. And, when you got 3 receivers on the outside, you look for matchups for one-on-one, typically to the one receiver side.
Blitz coming from Chardon. Collins had to get rid of it in a hurry. Throws that at the feet of Marvon Greenlee. That's an incomplete pass, not a lateral, which is what the Chardon faithful are calling for.
Central trying to get away with a screenplay on that. And unfortunately, you see here, they're going man-to-man coverage, and he almost loses it. And that was pretty close, but, even if he was to catch that ball, there was nowhere to go with the ball.
Now will the offense stay on the field here for Central Catholic on 4th down, 4th and 10. From the 35, it's asking a lot of Preston Frizel to hit a 30-yard punt. And delay a game here, maybe not the worst thing in the world. From Central Catholic's point of view, you can bring Frizel on and give him that extra 5 yards of cushion to try and pin the Hilltoppers deep.
And then sometimes you might, in this situation, act like you're going to do a passing play, and then the quarterback could kind of pooch punt it. Quarterback and just pin him deep. Just another way to get a wrinkle out of an offensive series and disguise it to make it a special teams series.
Well, offense, the way it looks anyway, does stay out there. I wonder if Terry Collins has a quick kick in him. Straight drop. He's going to throw over the middle. Has Greenlee open. Got it for the touchdown.
And I take my chances with number 5, one-on-one. They went 0 coverage, meaning no safety. And when you put Mr. Marvon Greenlee one-on-one with a linebacker or safety, you're asking to get touchdowns scored against you. You look right here. This is called a money route or a 4 vertical route. And it's all these guys going deep, and you do a bender with your slot receiver, and he was able to get in front of his face, cross his face, and get in the end zone.
Yeah, it's a money route, all right, and it goes for a touchdown on 4th and long. The lead now 28 for Central Catholic.
Talk about the way to respond there, taking your chances. But when you have your athletes, that's what happens.
Well, it feels like a long way back now for the Chardon Hilltoppers, down 35-7 to Toledo Central Catholic. The squib kick was out of bounds at the 41. By the way, in the other Division III state semifinal tonight, Bishop Watterson, who was down 14-0, has just taken a 17-14 lead in the 3rd quarter.
That's a battle right there on that side. That last touchdown, we talked about, right before the break, about opening up the playbook, the fact that Central Catholic had to really open up and really go out of their box. That's going to be the case for Chardon if they're going to be able to stay into this game. Halfway through the 3rd quarter, they're going to have to mix it up and do some things out of the ordinary to get back into this game.
Will Francis gave it on the jet to Hewitt, and Hewitt stayed in bounds, gain of 3 or 4 depending on the spot.
And I expect to see a lot of that if they are going to run the football. If you want to be able to stop the time on the clock, you're going to have to run the ball at times, but get out of bounds so you're not burning timeouts. And, being able to stop the clock is something that's also going to have to be a strategic part of the plan in order to march down and create opportunities to score.
That was more of a typical wing T snap. Vinny Columbi to the 48, gain of a couple. When we talked with Mitch Hewitt before kickoff, he said there will be times when we will go under center because we are very, very good at hiding the ball and fooling opposing defenses, which against most defenses is a good thing. But here, Central Catholic is just driving right through this Chardon offensive line, and where the ball is hasn't mattered all that much.
That's right. When you go under center and you're trying to disguise it, that all looks good. But if you're not getting the push downfield, then now you're susceptible to negative yards play. They've been able to be in the shotgun. Surprisingly, if they were in the shotgun, it would allow for a little bit more space for recovery when you have those pushes.
That's a classic wing T play, and that will result in a first down. Great run by Vinny Columbi to move the chains.
And this is an offense that's been around for a very long time. it requires continuity and trust, and really guys that are familiar with the offense and buy into it. And they've had success with this offense. The problem is that when you get into games where you're down by a few scores, that's where it kind of hurts you to not get back into the game.
They start running this system in elementary school, so by the time players get to high school age, they can be plugged in and are oven ready to play a role in the Chardon offense. Now they're at freshman JV varsity.
And it's effective.
44.
And it's effective, especially when you get yards on first down and you start really, going downhill, with the Hilltoppers, it's being able to get that push. They're getting those chunks here or there, but when they get into those negative yards plays, it just makes it a lot more difficult to keep the pedal to the metal, so to say.
If you're a Toledo Central Catholic fan, you're probably familiar with the Bedford Kicking Mules and the Whiteford Bobcats, who run elements of flexbone and pistol and wing tee principles offensively, but nobody does it quite like Chardon does.
And it's all predicated on reading the defense, looking at what areas to attack, and then the quarterback can either give it, keep it, pitch it, do, it's a triple option effect. But also, when you give the ball to one of your guys in motion, they're going full speed. So if you're a defense that can't run side to side, you're in big trouble.
3rd and 5 coming for the Hilltoppers out of the Western Reserve Conference. Coach Hewitt described Central Catholic as an insurmountable object last week after they beat Youngstown Ursuline. He said, I know what we're up against, but I wouldn't bet against these kids. They're going to give it their all. Their community behind them. Looking for a big 3rd and 5 conversion. Fake the give to Hewitt. Francis tried to cut and lost his footing. I don't think he would have gotten it anyway.
Yeah, it looked like most of the gaps were covered with Central Catholic defenders. So that's where mistakes happen, when things kind of happen in front of you the way they do. When talking to Coach Hewitt, we had a good conversation this week about their philosophy and their ability to instill the principles that make this community embrace what their football program's all about. And, they're real tough on their kids. They don't hold back. They don't let kids off the hook. They hold them accountable. And that makes, that's a testament to really what society should be, is being tough on your kids, but at the same time, holding them accountable. It makes them better in the end.
On 4th and 7, no chance for Will Francis to get rid of the football. It's recovered by Central Catholic, and they take over in Chardon territory. Let's watch it again. And that was Victor Singleton. I don't think Will Francis saw him. Andrew Baggett, who is a big-time underclassman lineman recruit, wearing 16 because he's pivoted from the line to tight end. He's essentially an extra lineman, 6'5", 270 among those who have offered him. The University of Toledo won their 11th consecutive game today against Central Michigan. They'll play the MAC championship game against Miami. Central Catholic, if they get one more score, they'll really feel like they've put this one away. Morgan trying to battle for a few extra yards, and he does. My word, down to the 34. With his build, he's rarely expected to be the kind of guy that runs people over. He's listed at 5'8", 165, but he is so strong.
And it's all about how you use that body. You could be a 200-pound running back and not deliver the same blow as a 170-pound running back.
Very true.
Because it's about his leverage and his ability to get low and compress it, almost like a bullet, a compressed bullet going right through a thin piece of paper, and that's what he does. He just goes right through it, and he's able to make decisions with his quick feet, and then he's off to the races.
Morgan with a seam. Met by Columbi. Manages to get a yard or two after the fact to the 29. And exactly 100 yards in the first half last week against Columbian. Marquand Braswell, whom we have not seen yet in the second half, had north of 170 in the first half a week ago.
Yeah, he's an explosive player, and he uses his linemen really well. All these guys know how to block, but it's all about how you use them. It's a skill set that comes with the ability to anticipate their blocks, recognize what's in front of you, and when you see it, you got to have the burst, and that young man has plenty of burst behind those wheels.
Kendrick Bankston, the center for Central Catholic, was brought to the sideline by one of the officials, and Greg Dempsey was having to get him onto said sideline. Jaden Dick is now the center.
And that's the one position you never want to substitute in the middle of a drive as the center. There's so much chemistry issues that run from those type of situations.
That's Morgan making guys miss inside the 20. Tyler Morgan down to the 8-yard line. Has he been fun to watch this year or what? Over 1,000 yards now for the season.
I mean, he's like a remote control car out there, being able to just go full speed and then being able to come back up north and south and just accelerate with ease, and then continue to run, and then finishes his run going downhill. You rarely see him going backwards, and those are the things that is most impressive about him.
Kyle Kisley is down to the 9-yard line. He was one of the 2 defensive players for Chardon that was involved in the tackle that we believe knocked Marquand Braswell out of the game, and he looked to be grabbing at his upper arm. Let's marvel at this run again from Tyler Morgan. Oh my!
I mean, he stood down there, put his foot down, accelerated, stiff arm, finished the run, and I mean, he had all different phases of the game on display in one play.
And for Coach Dempsey, presumably he will be the guy next year. Yeah. But who will step up and be Tyler Morgan to Tyler Morgan's Marquand Braswell, if you know what I mean, in 2024.
I'm sure there'll be somebody else. But, again, the thing that makes everything work is those big fellas. And as you can see, there's a lot of those guys that are seniors. So, that's probably the hardest part to replace is guys like that.
First and goal at the 8 with the Irish inside the Appliance Center red zone. Morgan again. This time Chardon able to wrestle him down after a gain of 2.
And talking to Coach Hewitt, he talked about not allowing the running game to be the thing that controls the game and putting it all on the quarterback position to throw the ball. But because they've had some success throwing the football, they have to kind of stay in the middle now. They can't just truly commit to the stop and the run because there's just so many other weapons out here that they can exploit you with, and we've seen a lot of that today.
Morgan again. Bottled up but still on his feet. Tyler Morgan is suplexed down for no gain after all that. Great tackle by Leo Columbi.
Yeah, showing his own display of WrestleMania right there. Again, the ability to accelerate, press, recognize where he's at. Get off me. And then he's like, you know what? I got more for you. And then, he was still going. He wants to get into the end zone and let people know what he's about.
Is that a horse collar right there? Did he have his hand inside the back of the collar?
It was pretty close. It's pretty close, but since they're this close to the red zone, those things are rarely called because it's such a confined space where, guys are just getting thrown all over the place. Really close there. I would not call that a horse collar. He just got a side of the shoulder pad that was, that's all he was able to hold onto that point.
Well, see, that was the one with the left hand that did make me wonder. Timeout called. Genoa Bank timeout. Genoa Bank taking your banking needs personally. Now, this will be Central Catholic's 30th consecutive win, which is extraordinary for any school to think about. They nearly beat Lakewood St. Ed's week 1 of last year, went on the road and lost 23-20. It's been relatively smooth sailing ever since, although the Avon, Kings Mills Kings, and Archbishop Hoban wins last year for them in their final 3 postseason games. Avon, Mike Elder has done a phenomenal job there for a very long time. Jacorian Caffey, one of the really, really, really good Ohio running backs. Then the Kings Mills Kings game. Kings had a field goal with no time left on the clock that would have forced overtime, and they had Central won 52-49. Then they held off Lamar Sperling 28-21. for Archbishop Hoban, and I mentioned Lamar Sperling before the name of the school because he was almost the only player that touched the ball all night for Hoban. Give it to Jalen Watson on the jet. We know he has jets, but this time he's snuffed out by Chardon. Braden Maruna leading the charge. Great lateral movement by the Hilltopper defense.
The one component that a lot of people don't think about when you get this far into the playoff consistently is similar to going into the bowl season. The reason why you want to go into a bowl game is because you have the opportunity to get more practices, more games, more development. So a lot of these sophomores that have been through all of these games and runs are seniors now and have that opportunity to play more football.
Central Catholic will have a little bit of time to think about what they want to do on 4th and goal. We'll see you back here for the fourth quarter.
The Chardon Hilltopper Gridiron Club, in association with GTV, proudly presents Chardon Hilltopper Varsity Football. Tonight's game is brought to you by the Chardon Gridiron Club, Burr Funeral Home, Chardon Smile Center, Achilles Running Shop, Ashes Mayfield Window Cleaning Company, Best Funeral Homes, The Junction Auto Family, Precision Orthopedics Specialties, PRP and Associates, Roniak Paving, Sopchak Natural Health and Wellness Center, and Fit for Life Physical Therapy, TJ Smith Excavating, Remax Tradition, Dan McCaskey and Terry Combs,
Residence Artists,
El Patron Mexican Grill and Cantina, and the Chardon Athletic Boosters. Special thanks for supporting the Gridiron Club goes to the Lodge at Bass Lake, We Were Athletes, Chardon Home Depot. Chardon Hilltopper Football is also brought to you by GTV.
Well, it's still 35-7 Central Catholic. They elected to send Austin Hernandez out of the field to try couldn't quite call it a chip shot field goal, but a short field goal from the right hash, and in the end he pushed it just wide of the upright.
And Austin Hernandez is a solid kicker. So, but those are things that happen, the timing, being on the right hash, and it looks like he might have slipped somewhere in between the exchange from the hole to the kick and just not able to put enough on the ball to get it exactly where he needed to go.
So the failure to make that field goal means that we do not have a running clock here in this state semifinal. Still a 28-point game. Chardon hasn't been able to generate a whole lot offensively, and as I say that, they get their first down run in a while.
This week?
If it stands.
What's she call the station?
Drago Vuaclia on the carry, but it's coming back. So it's back to the 10 and 1st and 20 for the Hilltoppers. They've run for over 4,500 yards this season. Oof.
That is a lot of miles.
I have to surmise it's the first time this year, and certainly the only time, that they've run into a team that is physically dominant enough to deal with what they do and really prevent it from happening at all.
And usually offensively, you're able to see where's the weak spot on the defensive line. You got to do a little bit more to be able to get through this defensive line because there's so many guys that have the ability to make the stop. They just have so much depth on this defensive line that you got to have everybody on the same page and not miss a beat, or it's a big loss.
There's a great, impressive run by Will Francis, but only able to get 5 yards out of it. Chopped down by Victor Singleton. Really, there have been far too many neutral to negative plays on first downs. We talked about it early on as a big key for them, that they needed to generate yards early, and Francis gets a chunk of it back. Up to the 24, that sets up a manageable third down and about 6.
Yeah, very shifty runner and great with his decision-making on that power read play, being able to read the defensive end, and if he was to make it a threat, then he gives it. If he's not a threat, he keeps it, and those are things that he has been doing in and year out all year.
Greg Dempsey calls a timeout. Presented by Genoa Bank. We'll step aside, 10:46 left. Third down at 6, and some trickery from Chardon. That is up for grabs and intercepted, underthrown. Kevin Arnold.
He definitely called the right play, reverse pass, but just unfortunately the recovery of that Central Catholic defense was able to get there just in time. And then, again, not enough juice on the throw. Goes right into the hands of Mr. Arnold. And like he's been doing all year, Arnold, Greenlee, some of these guys on this secondary just recover so well from being beat deep. I mean, he was beat deep for a little bit, just not enough juice at the end.
It was Leo Columbi's pass that was picked off. And now Isaiah Fox, the backup quarterback, is in for the Fighting Irish. Handoff is to Jerome Davis, somebody that has impressed in recent weeks in mop-up time. Let's check in with Maddie.
Hey guys, one of Central's goals going into tonight's game was getting the passing game going early. They only threw the ball 9 times last week, so they wanted to focus in early to really help open up all the rest of the game for them. Collins has thrown a couple dimes so far here tonight. Mason?
Yeah, sure has, Maddie. Thank you. And his week 15 is now complete with Isaiah Fox, the 6', 200-pound junior, being back in the game. Somebody that, because he's come in a lot of second halves, hasn't thrown the ball much to it. Maddie was talking about, with Terry Collins throwing some balls early, throwing a couple of really good touchdowns. Jerome Davis, he'll have a first down and more. Davis angled out at the 36. Gain of 11.
Earlier we talked about who's going to be the next guy that's going to fill that extra spot, the running back. I made the comment that there'll be somebody, and they already got somebody. He's a sophomore, number 27, Mr. Davis. He knows what he's doing. And then as far as what Maddie was talking about, being able to open it up with the passing game, you got to put yourself in those positions. You know, when it comes down to scouting games and looking at your opponent, you have to break some of those tendencies and also get out of the box and do some things that are a little different, but it just makes you better at the end.
Davis, again, he's got great feet too, just like Tyler Morgan wrestled down to the 22. And Mark Nave is going to get called for a personal foul. He was involved with Kenny Freehoff way after the play had ended. And Mark Nave in real time is being ushered back to the bench by Greg Dempsey. In the meantime, we watch that terrific run from Davis.
And that's the thing that you got to be careful of. You're already up by, 28 points. You're one of the main. You're like the apex of this offense. You can't risk any chance at all of getting booted out of this game, because Mason, you get booted out of this game, you're not playing in the championship the next week. So, he's going to be out. I guarantee you Coach Dempsey's going to pull him out immediately, and rightfully so. Don't put yourself in a situation like that. There's too much more on the line than one play that got you frustrated, and don't let your team down. So in that type of situation, Coach Dempsey's going to pull him out.
Well, that's 2 of the 5 starting offensive linemen that have been removed from the game by the Central Catholic coaching staff. Bankston earlier, the center, and now Mark Nave, who will play at Kentucky.
It's getting a little chippy out there, but it's part of the game of football.
It has been for some time, yeah.
Right, and that's okay. I mean, that's part of the game of football. You got to be able to control your anger and channel it the right way. And again, these are high school students that go through all different types of ebbs and flows throughout the year. There's a lot of emotion and pride that goes in. As a coaching staff, you got to recognize that and realize when you have to get those guys out so they don't put themselves in something they're going to regret 3 hours later.
Davis again. I think the entire starting offensive line has been taken out at this point. I saw Tyrell Green and Nick Banaszak sprint to the sideline. So Jaden Dick, who came in earlier, is still out there. Braylon Whitney, 76-50, is Jamarion Rushing. And you want to talk about big boys, 6'6", 335. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Zonaj Liggins, 71.
I mean, those are big boys as your backups. So we talk about all those matchups that happen in practice. You know, you're getting not just quality reps from the ones, but those twos and threes are guys that are the next man up that they're facing on a day in, day out basis in practice. It just makes your program better, especially when they're playing this many games for this many years. I mean, these guys are battle tested and just as battle ready as some of the starters.
It's 3rd down and 8. Just over 8 minutes remaining. Yeah, the Irish got their work done early. We're up 28-7 at the half. Got their work done real early, in fact, with the Marvon Greenlee punt return touchdown. A kick return touchdown, rather, on the opening kick of the game. Flag at the snap, and Davis out of bounds at the 30. Sideline warning against Central Catholic. First of the night, so not a penalty, just a talking to.
Coach is getting a little closer to the sideline, closer to the field, because there's some younger guys out there. So, you know, their attentiveness to making sure guys are lined up correctly and blocking their guy is similar to coaching a JV game. You're helping a little bit extra.
4th and 3. Isaiah Fox trying to punch this inside the 27. Jerome Davis steps away from one tackler, but can't get away from the second wave. Dives back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. So Chardon generates a stop. Central Catholic's defensive starters will come back in, and that defensive starting unit includes Marvon Greenlee, tonight's player of the game, brought to you by First Solar, leading the world's sustainable energy future. And, well, that kick return really set the tone, untouched, 88 yards to open the scoring.
And he should be on everybody's scouting report. Do not kick him the football. Do not give him the ball at any point in time, because he will take it to the house. And he does that on a day-to-day basis. And then he's able to do it in the special teams. He's able to do it definitely in the passing game. You know, you go one-on-one, he's going to burn you. And he just comes across the middle and does it again over the top again. I mean, he's just a playmaker. And then the stuff that you don't see is on defense. It's his ability to lock down your best receiver, create turnovers through tackles that he does. He's just the all-around athlete. I mean, it's not by accident why he's making plays all over the place, because he just has the awareness and skill set.
Marvon Greenlee, our First Solar player of the game. To join the team, visit firstsolar.com/careers. 1st and 15 for Chardon, whose season will end at 11-4. Around the middle of the regular season, they really started to turn things around. They opened at 3-3. Caleb Hewitt is chopped down as he ran to the short side. And some real lopsided scores. After that loss to Kenston on September 22nd, they played South, Mayfield, and North and won 49-0, 49-7, and 56-0. And that got him on the right track, and it just snowballed. Last week's win over Ursuline was extremely impressive.
Yeah, a lot of physical and very talented players on this Chardon team. The score does not do it justice. This is a team that's going to continue to fight. You know, they got a really good coaching staff that is really bought in. They got players that like to fight, and, you know, they're going to keep battling to the very end. This time of the year, when you get down to this type of level in the playoffs, you know, you think about all the things that went on in your career, starting from Little League. I know when I was in high school, one of my last games in high school, I thought about all the coaches that helped me along the way, Little League coaches and, you know, guys that were so important to my development going on. those are the things that start to flash through the eyes to some of these kids as you go into this point in the game, knowing that you're down. And at the end of the day, you're not going to be crowned. You're not going to feel good about the way it ends unless you end with a championship.
Francis kept it on 3rd and 13. Comes up about 11 yards short of keeping the drive going. You know, we've been awfully impressed with Central Catholic's defensive effort the last 2 weeks, holding really good offenses from Mansfield Senior and Columbia New, combined 16 points. I think this is the most impressive defensive performance of the three.
Yes, because of the scheme that you have to defend. You know, when you got a team that runs downhill like Chardon and is good at what they do, you're not getting that look in practice. So to come out here and to play the way they have versus a very formidable opponent in Chardon, that is not just a testament to the talent on this team, but the coaching staff and their preparation to get these guys ready for the task.
Greenlee makes the fair catch at the 42. And we wondered how long it might take the Fighting Irish defense to adjust to the scheme and the speed of it as opposed to what their scout team was able to run. And really it only took one possession.
Yes, because they were able to get they got a little bit of a boost from the kickoff return to kind of build the confidence. But then when Chardon was able to drive and respond, I was like, uh-oh, this might be some trouble. But, you know, the biggest adjustments are not done at halftime. The adjustments got to be made before halftime. And that comes down to the technology used in the, you know, look at all the video that they have on the sideline, to look at the alignment and scheme. Those things are sorted out by second quarter, and they were able to figure it out a little earlier than that.
Nothing doing there for Jerome Davis. Really, the run to potentially another state championship for Central Catholic kind of began in Ohio's Week 10. For those that haven't been following the last few years of realignment in Northwest Ohio high school football, the big private schools in Toledo are now playing in the Catholic High School League up in Detroit, which is a massive league with 3 or 4 different divisions. They won their division of the Catholic High School League this year, and outside of the 5-point game against Warren De La Salle that we referenced earlier, did that pretty easily. Davis to the sideline, ripped down at the 47, tackle made by Austin Green. But the reward for winning the Catholic High School League championship is getting to play in the Prep Bowl against the Detroit Public School champion at Ford Field, which is a really, really cool thing. They got to play Detroit Cass Tech, a Detroit area power, beat them 48-23, and after really 4 weeks in a row of easy wins in which they allowed only a single touchdown over 4 games, that allowed them to kind of recalibrate coming into the postseason.
And if you look at the league that they're in, that Detroit Catholic League, I mean, you got to come with your lunch pail every week, not just on the field, but the preparation leading up to those games, hitting the road, playing in another state. I mean, that takes a toll as well, almost like a college program. Hitting the road and being able to play through those games. And, you know, it's not by accident why they've been prepared for some of these playoff games, because they've sort of played a playoff schedule.
Absolutely.
With the type of dynamics with around the Catholic League that really has them already in that mindset going into Week 11 through now.
Every team in their division in the CHSL has won at least one state championship in the state of Michigan, which is pretty remarkable.
That's right. So, you know, the exposure from that league, being able to play in a different state week in, week out, has most of these kids motivated to really give themselves the opportunity to play well in front of a different audience. It's just, you know, playing in big games is something that they're used to.
Davis doesn't get anything. And interestingly, the move to the Catholic High School League, which is different to a lot of the conferences around the Toledo area schedule-wise, it's allowed them to schedule some slightly different non-conference opponents, thinking specifically of Cleveland St. Ignatius, whom they beat 28-0, a down year for Ignatius, first year with a new coach. That was in Week 6. It was great to see the old Three Rivers Athletic Conference rivalry stay alive. Trips to Findlay and Whitmer in weeks 1 and 2, and that rivalry with Whitmer in particular has been one of the premier ones in Northwest Ohio in the last 10-15 years. Davis down to the 42.
Yeah, the Catholic League going into their formation and the new formation of the NLL has created an interesting dynamic in Northwest Ohio. And but those same big games have drawn a lot more attention now since they have been separated. And it's going to be interesting to see how both leagues evolve over time as far as the talent pool, the scheduling of games, and those rivalries. Are those still going to be maintained as time goes on? I'll tell you what, when you play good football, those rivalries will stay.
Third down. Again, Jerome Davis. And he's wrestled to the turf, well short of the first down. Sophomore helped to his feet, 5'9", 160 pounds. Well, so it will be a Division III state championship to play for Central Catholic this year against, in all likelihood, Columbus Bishop Watterson, who beat both Columbian, whom Central Catholic beat in the Region 10 championship, and Chardon during the regular season. Interestingly, Watterson was down 14-0 against Salina and then scored 27 unanswered points. There's a first down, and that will just about do it. Isaiah Fox be able to take one more knee, and that'll be that. Central Catholic fans have been waiting all evening to explode, and they finally get the opportunity to do so.
It's been like a quiet storm watching this game. You know, the fans really focused on how this is all going, and they could kind of take a breath of fresh air knowing they have an opportunity to play for a back-to-back state championship. I mean, imagine just having the opportunity to play for one in your high school career. These guys get the opportunity to play for a second one.
And Chardon, of course, as a program, they know what that's like, having won it in 2020 and then again the next year in 21. It's such a difficult thing to defend a state championship. Central Catholic going to try and do that in a sense next week. It's not the same state title. They vacated, I guess, the D2 title by virtue of not being in Division II anymore. I know Bishop Watterson is going to give him a battle next week.
That's right. Anytime you get to play in a championship environment, I don't care if you're a championship of your league or you're a championship of the conference or playoff champion, regional, district-wide, regional, or a state championship, it definitely changes you. You are bonded. Your DNA changes. You're able to share these memories forever, and you're not going to remember all the X's and O's and all the plays that happen, but you're just going to remember that chill in the locker room leading up to the championship. You're going to, those are all things that created. It's all those things that are going to create, those memories for life. And even if you're not the victor, the challenge and the journey that you take as a high school athlete is just memorable forever.
Well, a memorable night again for the Fighting Irish of Central Catholic, and I think back to the opening seconds of the game, Marvon Greenley's kick return touchdown. I don't know what it is about this round of the postseason, but Marvon Greenley, the day after Thanksgiving, always eats.
Yeah, he eats. He's eating his turkey pregame, and then he's running wild like a turkey during the game. And he's just a playmaker. And the more that you see him out there, the more you realize how special he is.
If you're Bishop Watterson, are you more afraid of what Central Catholic can do offensively or defensively quickly?
I would be concerned about how you're going to score against the Central Catholic defense. They make such great adjustments and really bail out the Central Catholic offense when they are struggling. They have so many weapons on the Central Catholic offense that it's tough to defend, but unless you can score touchdowns, you're not going to have a chance at all anyway.
Guys, what happens, right, when you lose, it takes it out of you. And what happens is you forget what you've accomplished, right? And you can't allow that to happen, right? Hey, I'd love to be playing next week. All good things must end. But don't ever let it, slip your mind of what you've accomplished, right? Here's the way I look at it. Seniors, as freshmen, 20, we won a state title. 21, we won a state title. Last year, we lose to the state champ. This year, we just lost to the state champ. So that's 4 really freaking good years. You know what I'm saying?
So
that's the only thing that stops the Hilltoppers. So seniors, unbelievable
in next week's D3
Unbelievable
championship game.
career. Your investment in the program.
After Bishop Washington just beat the Lioness 27-14.
You got me? Coaches?
Yeah, fellas, after the Kenston game Saturday morning, we told you this is either going to be one of the greatest cautionary tales ever told or one of the greatest stories ever told in Chardon. This doesn't change the fact that this is going to be one of the greatest stories ever told in Chardon football history. What an unbelievable job you guys did to come back from 3-3, battle your way to the Final Four, and that's the best team in the history of Division III down there. Nothing to hang your head about.
My goal's always been to win a state title, and believe me, it'll never change, but I wouldn't change a thing. The opportunity I had to coach many of you when you were like 7, 8, 9, 10, and all the way through. And the story from week 3 to now is incredible, and it took dudes from I don't know how many different counties and I think 2 different states to knock us out, man, and you played your balls off, you played your heart out tonight. And we appreciate that.
So, guys, we won when we ran out of the tunnel, right? And I looked over at our community, and I looked at the brotherhood in the locker room. So, again, like, it's easy to feel down right now. I get it. We all want to win. But like, unbelievable journey, man. State champ, lost to the state champ, just lost to the state champ of the state. I'm proud of you guys, man. Anything else, coaches?
Yeah, guys. Coach Hewitt after the DeSales State Championship talked about faith, hope, and love. Faith, hope, and love. And those are 3 eternal things: faith, hope, and love. The Bible says they're eternal. They're the 3 things that are eternal. I got involved with Chardon football in 1991 when Coach Overton asked me to get involved in doing FCA Bible studies, and I got involved because I felt like the process, the whole being involved with young men, that there was eternal value in it, guys. So look, yeah, we got our faces kicked in tonight by a highly recruited football team that arguably shouldn't be in Division III in Ohio football. But the process, the faith, hope, and love that Coach Hewitt talked about after the DeSales game is just as real now. It's just as real now. It doesn't matter. 35-7. That's exactly right, Coach. So, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I've been watching Chardon football for 60 years. You're one of my favorite teams. It's been an incredible year. Great year. Seniors, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, you guys down on that defensive line are some tough son of a gun. I'll tell you what.
All right. Oh, man. Leo, wow. Leo, you belong at the next level, that's for sure. Leo, break it down.
Here, Leo.
What second? Logan?
What does that matter?
Smile there.
Smile today. What? I think we are. Family.
What's the matter with that? What? We are. Family on 3. What?
Next stop, Canton. For the Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish, 35-7 winners here over the Chardon Hilltoppers. For Godfrey Lewis, Matty Klein, and all of our crew, this is Mason Lowry saying so long. We'll see you next time.